Several birds landed on trees, one bird for one tree. But in this case, one of them didn't have a tree of its own. Then they regrouped, with two birds sitting on one tree. After this, one tree was left. How many birds and trees are there? There are 4 birds and 3 trees. Look at these 4 people in a grocery store. Can you figure out who's going to steal a watermelon? It's the man with a soccer ball. It seems as if he's holding something heavy. It must be the watermelon disguised as a soccer ball. You wake up and find yourself in a locked room without windows and only one door. You look around and notice a table. There's a piece of paper, a knife, and several inflated balloons lying on it. You pick up the note. It reads, "To get out of here, you must puncture a balloon with a knife. But if the balloon bursts, you'll stay here forever." What should you do to make a hidden door open in one of the walls? You should deflate one of the balloons. After that, you can easily puncture it with a knife. You're walking along the beach and spot an expensive-looking watch in the sand. There are only 3 other people on the beach. Who does the watch belong to? This guy's watch is in his pocket. The tan line on this girl's wrist doesn't match the shape of the watch. The watch must belong to this elderly lady. You've got a sack filled with coffee beans. You need to use this coffee to completely fill 2 other sacks of the same size. How do you do it? Put one empty sack into the other and fill them with coffee. 3 young men came to a coffee shop to prepare for their final exam. A waiter came up to them and asked, "Does everyone want coffee?" The first guy said, "I don't know." The second man answered, "Nah, I don't know." And the third one answered, "Yes." Can you figure out what the first 2 guys ordered? All young men ordered coffee. Each of them wanted to have this drink, but the first 2 couldn't know if it would be everyone's choice. If the first 2 guys hadn't wanted coffee, they'd have simply said no. So when the third guy heard his friend's replies, he figured out that both of them wanted coffee. And since he was going to get a cup, he said yes. You have to think outside the box to crack this one. 1 is to 3 as 3 is to 5, and 5 is to 4. And 4 is the magic number. Can you figure out the pattern? The word 1 has 3 letters. The word 3 has 5. And the word 5 has 4 letters. But the word 4 has 4 letters in it. And whatever number you try, eventually you'll come back to 4, and the game will end there. Vincent got locked in a room with no windows and only one massive door. There's a panel with several buttons on the left and another one with a hint on it on the right. There's also a clock on the wall above the door. Which button should Vincent press to get out of the trap? The green triangle. The numbers on the panel represent hours. If you connect them on the clock face, you'll get a triangle. Add this number to the same one and multiply the result by 4. Then divide it by 8 and you'll have the very first number again. What number is it? It can be any number. You can try it out to make sure. Look at these women attentively. Which one seems to be suspicious? It's the one on the right. The woman on the left was just adding some ketchup to her dish. See that bottle? But look at the pie the woman on the right is holding. There's a smartphone peeking out of the pie. What's it doing there? It's very suspicious. The police knocked on Michael's door late in the evening. They had a search warrant. They accused the man of stealing a big sum of money from a supermarket. Mike claimed that he hadn't left the house all day, but one of the detectives saw something in his living room, and it led to the man's arrest. What was it? Look at the date on the receipt lying on the table. It's the same as the date on the calendar, which means Michael lied about not leaving his house that day. Look at these guys attentively. Can you tell which one has drawn the graffiti? It's the guy on the left. He has some spray paint on his hoodie. An ant is 2 inches away from its home. With every next step, it covers half the distance to the entrance. How many steps will the insect have to take to reach its destination? The ant will never reach the door because every time it'll travel only half the distance. Now, how about solving some rebus riddles? This is the first one for you. High, 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 high. That's high five. The next one, noon good. What's this? That's how you greet people. Good afternoon. Okay, now try this one. Way, progress. It's progress underway. Now let's check how attentive you are. Try to figure out what's wrong in the following images. There's no way anyone can wear those blue shoes. They're both left ones. How about this one? This horse looks rather natural among kangaroos, but it doesn't belong there. What's wrong in this picture? Why would a barn have a chimney? I suspect something is missing in this picture. Can you figure out what exactly? The bus doesn't have side mirrors and windshield wipers. Detective Lucas was called to investigate an accident. A car crashed into a store window and smashed the glass. There are 2 suspects. Both of them deny their involvement. Detective Lucas doesn't need much time to figure out who the culprit is. Do you know the answer too? It's the owner of the blue car. The pattern on its tires is the same as in front of the store. Detective Brown was having her morning coffee in a cafe when she heard a car screeching to a halt, then some loud shouting. She ran outside and spotted a man on the ground. His bicycle was lying nearby. There was also a car sitting next to the man. Detective Brown helped the cyclist up. The car driver came up to them. The cyclist exclaimed, "He hit my bike with his car, making me crash." But the driver answered, "I saw him losing control of his bike in the mirror. I left my car to check on him." Detective Brown immediately understood who was lying. Can you figure it out? Strangely, the car doesn't have side mirrors, and all that stuff in the back seat blocks the view of the road, so the driver couldn't have seen anything in his rearview mirror either. He's lying. A man wearing a hat, a bandana covering his face, and dark sunglasses robbed a bank. The police have 3 suspects. Look at them and try to figure out which one is the criminal. Usually, people tie bandanas under their ears, but in this case, the bandana covers the robber's ears. It probably hides something that distinguishes the man from other people. The criminal must be that man with only one ear. When Louisa entered the office, she noticed that her colleague Anna was very upset. It was the beginning of the working day, but someone had already stolen her purse. Only those who worked in the company could get into the office. Louisa questioned her colleagues. Maria, who worked in IT, said she'd been fixing somebody's computer. Jane, the secretary, answered she'd been on the phone with some clients. Andrew, a sales manager, said,
"I've just returned from a 3-hour-long meeting. I'm exhausted."
Can you figure out who took the purse? Andrew, the working day's just started. How could he come back from such a long meeting?
Kennedy was the most popular girl at school, and everyone wanted to go out with her. One day during a class, Aaron, a guy who had been having a crush on her for years, received a text from the girl, but the text was all messed up, and he couldn't read it. He sent a question mark, but Kennedy only replied with a "figure it out." Can you help Aaron read the text? Seems like Kennedy just messed up the spaces to make the message harder to read. If we place the spaces correctly, the text will turn into, "Take me out on a date this week. Friday night after the basketball game, meet me by the clock." Kira and Sierra were sisters. They always borrowed each other's things without permission. So one day, Sierra walked into her room and didn't find her favorite bracelet, which she knew Kira also loved. She got mad at her sister for going into her room and looking through her stuff, but Kira denied all accusations. Still, Sierra knew that her sister had been in her room. How did she know it? Pay attention to this flower on Sierra's windowsill. Flowers always turn toward the sun, but this one is turned away from it. This means Kira was in Sierra's room, searching for the bracelet and moving things around. She moved the flower too. That's why it's turned away from the window. Okay, now I'll show you some emojis, and your task is to guess the animal. Here's the first one. S in nails. It's a snail, of course. What about this one? Do you have any ideas? B and ear. Sounds almost like a bear to me. Great job! Okay, here's another animal for you. Do you think you know what it is? Moon and key. Not sure about you, but I think it's a monkey. We're moving on, and here's the next animal for you. What's your call? Tie and gear. That's a tiger. Did you get it? This one is way too easy. Just hit it. Gold and fish. Goldfish, obviously. A fire alarm went off in a college and disrupted the end of semester exam. There was no fire, and after some investigation, it became clear that someone had set off the alarm on purpose. The police had 3 suspects. All of them had been spotted by a security camera on the underground floor near the fire alarm, shortly before it went off. Karis said she was a new student and had been looking for a bathroom. Carter said he'd been on the way to a lab that was on the underground floor. Olivia said she'd been exploring the building while waiting for her friend to be done with the exam. Who is guilty? Karis. She said she was a new student, but it was the end of the semester. Claudius was one of the Roman emperors. He was born in 10 BCE and became the emperor of the Roman Empire in 41 CE. How old did he turn the year he became the emperor? If you said 51, you might need to think a bit more. There's no year 0. After 1 BCE, when Claudius turned 9 years old, there was 1 CE, when he turned 10 years old. So, in 41 CE, he turned 50. Someone in a little town kept stealing garden statues. Every time someone's statue was gone, they would get a text message from an anonymous number with 2 emojis. The police had been investigating the case, and finally, the geolocation led them to 3 suspects: Mr. Davidson, Mrs. Jensen, and Mr. Bowman. Can you tell who the thief is? The emojis are a clue. They don't seem to make any sense, but they actually do. It's a bow and a man, which together make Bowman. And Mr. Bowman is one of the suspects. He must be the criminal. Since we've started talking about emojis again, here's another task for you. I'll show you some emojis, and this time you'll need to guess the country. Let's go. Here's the first one. What's your call? That's Chile, of course. What about this one? Do you have any ideas? It's pretty straightforward. This is ice, and this is land. So, Iceland. Another emoji riddle for you. What is it? Another something land. That's a tie. So Thailand, a country in Asia. This one is a bit harder, but I believe in you. That's a bell, obviously, and that's a gym. It's Belgium, a country in Western Europe. Okay, the last country for you today. Here you go. What is it? Chain and an A. That's China. Now let's catch some criminals. Skylar was having a costume birthday party in a rented club. In the middle of the celebration, a detective came in. He said he was looking for a robber who must be there, pretending to be a guest. The problem was that Skylar didn't know half of the guests since all the school was invited. Take a look at the people and say who the detective's main suspect is. Look at this guy. Unlike all other guests, his costume is extremely inconsistent. He has a Batman mask and a Squid Game pullover. He probably put on whatever he could find in a rush, trying to hide. Mrs. Herrera was a rich lady who lived in her mansion in the countryside. She called the police because someone had stolen all the money from a safe in her room. She made all the people in the house remain inside until the police arrived. A detective came. He found no fingerprints, but he discovered a black glove. The main suspects were Chris, the cleaning man, Cassian, Mrs. Herrera's grandniece, and Nicole, Mrs. Herrera's best friend's daughter, who was visiting her for a week. Take a close look at them and try to figure out who stole the money. The glove can't belong to Chris. There were no fingerprints, so whoever the thief was, they were wearing gloves. And this one is too small for Chris. Nicole is wearing way too many massive rings, and the gloves wouldn't fit her as well. So it seems like Cassian took the money. A criminal escaped from prison, and the local police were looking for him. They checked his house, his parents' house, and other places, but there was no trace of him. Then they came to an old lake house the criminal's family used to spend summers in. Now it was abandoned. When they came in, the detective knew immediately that someone was living there. How did he know? The house is all dusty, but some surfaces like this part of the floor and that side of the table aren't dirty like everything else. That's because someone has been using them. Tessa called the police because she had found her friend Evie unconscious. Right by her side, there was a glass with poison, which she had most likely drank, but it was still up for investigation. We are roommates. I walked into her room to get $20 from her and saw her like this. I didn't touch anything and called you immediately. The police officers asked Tessa to leave, examined Evie, and called the ambulance. When they moved the girl, they saw Evie's phone and a $20 bill in the phone case. The officers left the phone where they found it, walked out of the room, and told Tessa, "We called the ambulance. It'll be here soon. Your $20 is in your friend's phone case. You can take it now." Tessa walked into the room and returned with the money immediately. The police arrested her. Why? If Tessa didn't touch anything, how did she find Evie's phone so fast? She knew where it was.
Mr. Riddle is an old-fashioned aristocrat. He invites a landscape designer, Bella, to do his chic country mansion.
Okay.
He says, "Your task is to plant 7 trees. I will triple your paycheck if you find a way to plant exactly 6 rows of trees in a straight line. Also, each row should have 3 trees in particular." Do you have any idea how Bella can accomplish this task? Bella should plant 3 trees as the vertices of an equal triangle. 3 more trees should be planted at the center of each side of the triangle. The last tree should be planted at the center, and voila! While working in Mr. Riddle's garden, Bella finds 3 hidden words. Can you see them too? There are 3 hidden words here: tree, farm, and plant. The local gardener is playing a quiz game. He keeps asking the same question to everyone he meets, but each time the answer is different. Can you guess the question? The question that the gardener asked is, "What's the time?" Later that night, Bella is heading to the local nightclub. On the way, she spots 3 mistakes in the picture below. Can you see them too? December 32nd doesn't exist. There's no green light at the traffic signal. And this trolley doesn't have any rails. Bella's boyfriend, Tyler, is performing a show with his dancing group at 11 p.m. Bella is a little late. So, when she enters the nightclub, she sees Tyler and his crew on the stage. They're dancing in a straight line. At this very moment, Tyler is standing in the 4th position from both the front and back ends of the row. Can you figure out the number of dancers? There are 7 people in Tyler's dancing group, including himself. Tyler was the 4th from both ends, which means 3 dancers were at the front and at the back. After the performance, Bella is wandering around the club and sees these 2 guys in the VIP section. Can you tell who's fake? The guy on the left. His reflection doesn't say anything, but the guy on the right is wearing a suit and has some cash in his pocket. So he's probably just having a bad day. The next day, Bella receives an invitation to have dinner with Mr. Riddle. Bella agrees and arrives at his house in the evening. She enters the dining room and spots 4 weird things right away. Can you see them too? This candle has a purple flame. Someone is peeping through the eyes in this portrait. This fireplace burns without any wood. And finally, both hands of Mr. Riddle are left. During the dinner, Mr. Riddle tells Bella, "I'm so grateful for your work. I decided to give you a gift if you manage to crack my puzzle. So listen carefully. I can be broken, even if you never pick me up or touch me. What am I? Can you help Bella solve this mystery?" The correct answer is a promise. Bella cracks the riddle and receives the promised gift from Mr. Riddle. The gift has lots of keys, but it can never open a door. What is it? The correct answer is a piano. Bella enters Mr. Riddle's library. Suddenly, he locks the door. The windows are locked too, so Bella is trapped inside the room. She looks around and finds a secret exit.
Yes!
Can you see it too? Take a look at the floor. There's a door to the basement hidden under the carpet. In the basement, Bella finds a door that leads outside, but it's locked and requires a 5-digit password. Do you have any idea how to open it? The note on the wall has a hint. Each image contains a different number of colors. The rainbow has 7 colors, the cloud 1, the bird 4, and so on. So the correct password is 17421. Bella escapes from Mr. Riddle's house and gets lost in the woods. There are 3 possible ways to cross this area. Unfortunately, only one is safe. Can you guess which one? Bella should pick the second path to survive. Bella arrives at the nearest village in the mountains. She enters the local diner to call the police, but she regrets her decision as soon as she gets inside. Why? This is a vampire village. None of the customers eats anything. And also, she's the only person who casts any shadow here. Bella runs away to the mountains and finds 3 tunnels. Unfortunately, each path is hiding some danger. There's a cage with hungry lions behind the first door. The second tunnel is filled with gas that's very toxic for any human. And there's a giant dragon waiting inside the third tunnel. Can you help Bella choose the safest option? Bella should choose the first tunnel. The lions are in the cage, so she can just walk by and escape. Now Bella needs to cross a fast-flowing mountain river by jumping from stone to stone. She struggles with choosing the last step. Can you help her? Each stone has a particular number: 1, 2, 4, 7, 11, 16. This sequence is formed by adding the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Therefore, the remaining stone should be 16 plus 6. So Bella should choose the stone 22. Finally, Bella finds a highway. 3 people offer to give her a ride, but only one of these guys is reliable. Can you guess who? The second guy's car has no license plate and it's been painted recently, so the car is probably stolen. Take a closer look at the third guy's hand. He's a zombie! So Bella should choose the first guy. Bella arrives home and finds out that someone had robbed her apartment. She calls the police and questions 3 neighbors. Ryan says, "I think I heard weird noises from your apartment 2 hours ago, but I thought it was your TV." Peter says,
I noticed a suspicious delivery guy near your door about an hour ago when I was taking out the trash.
And Emma says, "I've just arrived from my business trip in London. I don't know what happened here." Who's lying? Peter said he took out the trash an hour ago, but he still has a full garbage can in front of his door. And the flies around it tell us that this bag has been here for a while. Therefore, he's a liar. The next day, Bella enters a supermarket to buy some food. The manager complains that someone had stolen a watermelon. Bella spots the thief right away. What about you? This fake basketball player is the thief. The ball shouldn't have any zip. Bella is walking down the street. She passes by 3 guys who are busy washing their cars. In a while, Bella realizes that her wallet is gone. She returns to the guys and asks, "Has anyone seen my wallet?" All 3 guys answer no, but one of them is a thief. Can you guess who? It's the guy on the left. The level of water in his bucket increased after he threw Bella's wallet into it. Bella approaches the parking lot and finds out that someone had stolen her car. She calls the police. The officers begin to chase the thief. The light over the license plate of Bella's car isn't working. Also, the police car has a faulty headlight. But eventually, the officers succeed in catching the thief and return the car to Bella. How did they manage to catch the criminal? Do you have any ideas? daytime. Therefore, they didn't need any headlights or lights over the license plate. Bella comes home and opens her fridge to grab some snacks. Right away, she begins to yell at her boyfriend.
Tyler, you ate my food again.
Tyler replies, "No, I didn't." Can you guess who's lying by looking at these two pictures? Tyler. He took these 5 items from the fridge.
Dustin is a widowed man living alone in his house. One day, the doorbell rang. Dustin went up to open his door, and right there she was, his wife. How's it possible? I hope you kept your eyes wide open for this one. Look, there's a photo of Dustin and his wife on the wall. His wife has a birthmark on her cheek. The woman that just appeared doesn't have it, so it must be Dustin's wife's twin sister. Dylan was grounded, and he wasn't allowed to meet even his girlfriend for a week. One evening, when Dylan's mom returned home from work, she found Dylan in his room and asked him if he'd met anyone that day. Dylan said that he'd been at home, studying all day. His mom didn't believe him. Why? Look, there's a lipstick stain on his neck. I'm pretty sure his girlfriend came over for a short visit. Another grounded teenager, Eslyn, wasn't allowed to see any of her friends for 2 weeks after failing her history test. One night, her mother had a night shift and only returned home next afternoon. She came to check on her daughter, and she knew immediately that Eslyn had a friend over for a sleepover. How did she figure it out? Examine Eslyn's room carefully. 2 plates, 2 cups, 2 forks. She wasn't the only one eating dinner in her room last night, and she wasn't smart enough to clean up after. Smells like 2 more weeks to me. Miss Virginia Dell is a rich young lady who had a beautiful and expensive jewelry collection behind a glass in her dressing room. One morning, she found that someone broke the glass and stole her jewelry. Miss Dell's cleaning lady claimed that she had cleaned the room at around 5 a.m. and the jewelry was still there. Virginia's best friend, who was staying in her house that week, said that she had never even walked in the dressing room. Virginia's cousin, who was also staying with her for the holiday, said that she'd walked in the dressing room in the morning, but hadn't paid any attention to the jewelry, and for sure hadn't stolen anything. Who is the liar? It's the cleaning lady. Seems like right after she broke the glass and stole the jewelry, she wiped off the pieces of glass while cleaning as well, because there's no shattered glass on the floor. Okay, here's another task for you to test your observation skills. I'll show you 2 people and some items. Your task is to guess which person the item belongs to. Let's start off easy. What about this stethoscope? Well, it should definitely belong to this doctor on the right. 2 more people. Any guesses who the owner of this bracelet is? The bracelet has a name engraved on it, Sophia. This girl on the left has a name tag with the same name, so it must be her bracelet. Next up, this lipstick. There are 2 girls who are possible owners, but what's your best guess? Who does it belong to? It must be this girl. Both of them are wearing lipstick, but this girl has the exact same shade as the lipstick itself. Earring and 2 girls again to choose from. Any guesses? It must be this girl. Her ears are pierced, and the other girls aren't. The next item is the hairdryer. Who do you think it belongs to? It must be this girl's dryer. She has long hair, and the other guy is bald. Okay, this one is more fun. The next one we have to place is this cute little cat. Who do you think is its owner? See that this girl's legs are a bit scratched? They give her away completely. It's her cat. One last item for you to place. This time it's a photograph of the owner in her teenage years with her parents. Who do you think it belongs to? The teen in the photo is a redhead with green eyes. There's just one redhead girl with green eyes, and here she is. It must be her photo. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. She came across a witch's house and asked her to take her home. 5 doors appeared. Only one of them will take you home, and you only have one chance. The right door is black. It's not next to the leftmost or the rightmost door. It's not the door in the middle either. Which door should Esme choose? There are just 3 black doors, and it's one of them. It's not the door next to the leftmost or the rightmost one, so the 4th door is eliminated. It's not the middle door, so it's out too. Esme should walk out the door on the left. Eiko woke up in a dark dungeon without remembering what happened. She looked around and saw a metal door. Unfortunately, it was locked, and it required not just 1 password, but 4. Eiko had only 1 attempt to make it right. Gladly, next to the door, there was a sign with 4 words: apple, bread, chair, and dress. Which word belongs here? Pay attention to the shapes of each password. Some letters are bigger than others, and each word should fit right in. So it should be bread on the top left, apple on the top right, dress on the bottom left, and chair on the bottom right. In a factory, a worker and a half make a chair and a half in 1 hour and a half. How many chairs does one worker make in 1 working day, which is 6 hours? If 1.5 workers make 1.5 chairs in 1.5 hours, it means that one worker makes 1 chair in the same time, which is 1.5 hours. So in a 6-hour working day, 1 worker makes 4 chairs. It was a lazy day, but as soon as it started raining, a city's police officer got a call. Mr. Jones said that someone had just bumped into his car and drove away. The officer arrived. They found one person nearby fixing his car's tire. Mr. Jones said that it was the gentleman who had bumped into his car. The gentleman said that it couldn't be true, since he had been trying to fix his car for over an hour now, and was there the whole time. Who is lying? It's the guy fixing his car. The rain just recently started. If he'd been fixing his car the whole time, the ground underneath his car would be dry. But it's wet, which means his car broke down just recently, probably when he was driving away after the accident. A crew of pirates arrived at a deserted island in the Caribbean at night. In the early morning, the captain went ashore to find his secret stash with all the treasures hidden in it. But when he reached it, the treasures weren't there. Someone from his crew had gone ashore earlier and stolen all of it. There were 3 suspects: Bill, first mate, Gil, bosun, and Will, cook. All of them denied stealing anything, but the captain knew who was lying. Who? There are footprints on the shore from earlier that don't belong to the captain. One is a footprint, but the other one is a hole from a stick. The robber must be Gil, the bosun, because he is the only one with a wooden leg. Let's start with training your eyes a bit. Can you find an odd one out here? Yes, that's the one. Another one for you. Look carefully. and you only have several seconds to find the imposter. That's the one! Correct! Now the game is getting a bit harder, but I know you've got it. What do you say? Here it is. Did you find it? Okay, last one of these, the hardest one. Do you see the odd one out this time? There it is! Great job! Amy is an astronaut. She had spent months preparing for a space journey that would take her outside of the solar system. During the trip, she landed on another planet in an unknown galaxy. She began to explore the city and its citizens. Very soon, though, she felt the need to go to the restroom. She saw 2 doors leading to the ladies' and gentlemen's bathrooms and got confused. She didn't speak the local language and couldn't ask which door was for men and which was for women. Thankfully, she met a local guide, Bo, who could understand English. However, he could only speak his native language. What 2 questions should Amy ask to figure out the right door? She should point at one of the doors and ask, "Is this the woman's restroom?" Then, she needs to remember Bo's reply and ask, "Am I a woman?" If Bo says the same word, the restroom Amy is pointing at must be for women. And if Bo says a different word, the restroom is for men. A thief wanted to rob a local bank. He came up with a brilliant plan to dress up as one of the bank's clients and try to sneak into the vault. As he was approaching the vault, he saw a security guard standing right in front of the door. The robber hadn't anticipated this, so he hid and watched the guard carefully. When one of the actual bank clients walked up to the door, the security guard said, 12, and the client said, 6, and got inside. Then another client came up to the vault. When the security guard said 6, the person answered 3, and was granted access. "Oh, I've totally got this," the robber thought. He nonchalantly walked up to the security guard. When the guard said 10, the robber confidently answered 5. He was arrested immediately. Why was his answer wrong? And what should he have answered instead? The correct response depends on the number of the letters in the word. 12 has 6 letters, so the answer is 6. 6 has 3 letters, so the answer is 3. As for 10, the robber should have said 3. Dave was on his way to a football match when he got a flat tire. He stopped on the roadside to fix it, but accidentally dropped all 4 wheel nuts into the sewer grate. There was no way to retrieve them. Dave was beginning to suspect that he would have to spend hours there when a car passing by stopped to help him. Dave told the driver about his problem, and the guy knew immediately what Dave needed to do. Dave managed to change the tire very quickly and went to the nearest service station to get his car properly fixed. What was the advice the guy gave Dave? That's easy. He told Dave to remove 1 nut from each of the other 3 wheels and use them to secure the new tire. Can you name one thing that all people on Earth are doing simultaneously? Getting older, duh! On a Monday morning, a big sum of money went missing from the accountant's safe. 3 people were in the office at that time. Kate, the accountant, said she had left for several minutes to go to the bathroom. Walker, the IT manager, said he'd gone out for lunch and hadn't seen anything. Pete, a cleaning man, said he'd been cleaning the 2nd floor at the time. Can you figure out who's lying? It's Walker. He said he'd been on his lunch break, but it was still morning at that time. In the afternoon, 3 people visited Tessa's clothing store. These 3 people were the only customers she had that day. The first person bought a belt and a purse. The second person bought a dress. And the third customer got a hat. One of them was a criminal, and Tessa immediately reported them to the police. Who is the criminal? And how did she know? The third person gave her a $1,000 bill, but such bills don't exist. On Halloween, Carrie decided to visit the spookiest house in the neighborhood. As soon as she got inside, the door locked behind her back. Luckily, she saw 3 ways out. However, behind the first door, there was a venomous snake. Behind the second door, there was toxic gas. And the third door was hiding a large lake. Which door should she choose? The last door. It's just a lake. She can swim across it. At Los Angeles Airport, the police were looking for a man that had smuggled some goods into the country. The only detail the police knew about the man was that he had a beard. They stopped a group of people that had just arrived from different countries. The detectives noticed 3 bearded men and interrogated them. Tom said he'd just arrived from London. It was a business trip. The second guy, Roberto, said he'd just come from Spain to visit his girlfriend. And the third man, Pierre, said he'd come from France. He was on vacation. The detectives didn't even need to check their plane tickets to figure out who the criminal was. And what do you think? It must be Pierre. Look, the guy doesn't have any luggage with him, but he said he'd come to LA on vacation. Noah reported to the police that someone had stolen his red motorbike the previous night. It disappeared right from his garage. The police started to search for it and tracked 3 main suspects. Take a look at them. Which one stole Noah's motorbike? It's this guy on the right. Look closely. His motorbike is painted, but under a layer of paint, you can spot some red color. He must have stolen it and painted it a different color. But you caught him. Good job. Sandra went to the police station to report a crime. She said she was in the bathroom in the mall, reapplying her makeup when someone came up to her from behind and hit her on the head. The officer asked her if she remembered anything about the robber, but she said she hadn't seen anything since the criminal had approached her from behind. The police officer sent the woman home and refused to file the report. Why? The woman said she'd been fixing her makeup, so she had most likely been looking in the mirror. It means she would have seen the person approaching her from behind. She must be lying. Grace has 7 sons, and each of them has a sister. How many children does Grace have in total? The answer is 8. If we consider that each son has the same sister, then it's 7 sons plus 1 daughter. 8 children in total. Anna runs a chocolate factory, and she offers all her clients a special deal. Anyone can exchange 5 chocolate wrappers for 1 chocolate bar. Robert spent 2 weeks collecting the wrappers and managed to find 77. Can you tell what maximum number of chocolates he can get from Anna? Robert can get a total of 19 chocolates. Here's how it works. First of all, he can exchange 77 wrappers for 15 chocolates with 2 wrappers left. Then, after unwrapping the new 15 chocolate bars, Robert will be able to exchange 15 wrappers for 3 more chocolates. Now he can use the remaining 2 wrappers plus the new 3 wrappers to get 1 more chocolate bar. 15 plus 3 plus 1 equals 19. Oliver was sitting at his desk, working from home, when someone hit him on the head. He was taken to the nearest hospital. Meanwhile, the police found 4 suspects that could have been responsible for the crime. All of them Oliver's neighbors. Amelia said she'd been walking in the park all morning. Henry explained he'd been painting in the studio and had heard nothing. Jacob said he'd been repairing his car. Sophia answered she'd been taking a bath for the past 3 hours. Can you figure out who is lying? Well, take a look at these people's hands. Henry and Jacob were probably wearing gloves during their activities, which would explain why their hands are clean. But Sophia's hands are smooth, and they would be all wrinkled if she had indeed spent over 3 hours in the water. She must be the culprit.